Okay, I think we have officially reached an all-new level of trade war against China because this is very serious and this is devastating for the Chinese economy. Donald Trump is threatening an additional 50% tariffs on China by April 8th, which is tomorrow as I make this video, if China does not withdraw their 34% tariffs on the United States. So this is massive. So here we go. Straight from the source, straight from Donald Trump. Here we go. And then we will get to what China had to say, by the way. Yesterday, China issued retaliatory tariffs of 34% on top of their already record-setting tariffs, which is a lot. Non-monetary tariffs, illegal subsidization of companies, and massive long-term currency manipulation. Again, China is our enemy, so we should not be feeling too bad for China right now. And I talk about the government. The people of China don't have a choice here. Despite my warning that any country that retaliates against the U.S. by issuing additional tariffs above and beyond their already existing long-term tariff abuse of our nation will be immediately met with new and substantially higher tariffs. Boy, is he not kidding, considering right now China's stock market is as low as the 2015 stock market crash. Over and above those initially set. Therefore, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trading abuse by tomorrow, April 8th, 2025, the United States will impose additional tariffs on China of 50%. Again, devastating, very bad. China has nowhere to go. They have to work with the United States, so we have to see what China's going to do here. Affected April 9th. Additionally, all talks with China concerning their requested meetings with us will be terminated. Negotiations with other countries, which have also requested meetings, will begin taking place immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Wow, wow, wow. Now, I think I know why Donald Trump is a little annoyed with China right now. Okay, now before we accuse the United States of being bullies, Donald Trump, like China is accusing the United States of being economic bullies, we will get to that in a second. If anything, Donald Trump is showing mercy on China right now. Let me tell you why. Because this morning for China, well, technically it's night for them now, but in the morning on Monday when their stock market opened, it literally crashed. Devastating results based off of the threats of Donald Trump. So if anything, I really think Donald Trump is doing China a really big favor by not saying this when their economy was already crashing before our eyes. And by the way, so were other countries like Japan, like India, and the EU. And by the way, Japan and the EU already are knocking on the door of Donald Trump saying, we are ready for negotiations. Even the EU is saying 0 for 0 tariffs. And Canada has already said they want 0 for 0 tariffs. That's a totally different story. Now, as far as China, look, Donald Trump did them a really big favor. Otherwise, I don't even want to know how bad it was going to get for their economy. What we are finding out right now is that all of these economies were 100% reliant on the United States. And when Donald Trump makes one threat, the whole world goes crazy and starts to fall apart as far as the economy. Now, what is China saying? What are they on about? Why are they calling the United States bullies with tariffs? Well, here's what they had to say. China on Monday accused the U.S. of unilateralism, protectionism, and economic bullying with tariffs, while calling on representatives of American companies, including Tesla, to take concrete actions to resolve the issues. First things first, what does China have to do with these American economies as far as telling CEOs what to do? If anything, that is the problem here. China knows these CEOs rely on external sources like China for their cheap labor. So China is even telling you, look, we are able to bully these CEOs here and trying to tell Donald Trump to cut it out. Again, I really think China miscalculated what Donald Trump was trying to do here. Putting America first over international rules harms the stability of global production and the supply chain and seriously impacts the world's economic recovery, Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Lin Yan told reporters. Last week, Trump put an additional 34% tariff on Chinese goods as part of Liberation Day, which, by the way, mixed opinions on that. Let me know how you guys feel about Liberation Day. On top of 2 rounds of 10% tariffs already declared in February and March, which Trump said were due to Beijing's role in the fentanyl crisis. China and other governments retaliated quickly. China announced its own 34% tariff rate on U.S. goods. And we saw what happened when you do that. 34% is very high. So again, straight from Beijing, on Monday, Beijing struck a note of confidence, even as markets in Hong Kong and Shanghai tumbled. They felt confident. We're good to go. Americans love money way too much. They will never do this. They love their cheap labor. They love iPhones being cheap and all of their clothing. Well, it turns out it looks like the United States is on a different path forward. We have always said we're for good labor, or fair labor, safe labor in the United States, but we need to make sure we're for that also with foreign entities like China. And the only way we can do this or say this and mean business is by actually implementing tariffs and forcing U.S. countries to work in the United States. The sky won't fall, it declared, even if the U.S. tariffs have an impact. Faced with the indiscriminate punches of U.S. taxes, we know what we are doing and we have tools at our disposal, it added. So again, China, rather confident, but we'll see what happens. I don't know if China is able to handle a 50% tariff on top of their already tariffs, because China has nowhere to go. Even their closest ally right now, Russia, they can't even go to them. Maybe we can go to Japan. No, their economy is collapsing. Maybe we can go to India. Actually, we can't because it's collapsing there too. Again, quite the dilemma right now for China. Now, this is very crucial as far as the United States. This is not me coping. I know that the markets are going down in the United States, but the argument is this. The reason why the market is going down, this is a correction in the market. And I also want to point this out because I'm getting really annoyed with the left-leaning media, left-leaning personalities. Yes, if you go to 1 month, oh my gosh, look at this drop and it's still going down. When you go to 6 months, wow, look, it dropped off. When you go to 1 year, yeah, it's still dropping off. When you go to the 5 year or max, we are still the strongest economy in the world. We are still at the strongest point of our economy we have ever seen. So again, I don't know if this is fake outrage. I don't know if this is clickbait. But again, when you had the markets drop in 2008, it still went up. When the markets dropped under Biden, it still went up. And one thing I want to point out is these are Democrat presidents. What does that tell you? I don't know. I just find it rather interesting that every single time we've had a drop, it was under a Democrat. But then it goes back up anyway. Was anybody freaking out when the market crashed under Joe Biden the way that they're freaking out right now? No. The reason why we are seeing so much outrage is because now we are actually fighting against the billionaires. Why all of a sudden are Democrats for these billionaires when they were against them, against the elites? The people who are losing the money right now are the elites. Now, I will side with the people who are against this. I will say this tactic will not work, and Republicans will be very upset if in 2 months everything gets way worse and the egg prices go up and shoes go up, the regular commodities that the everyday American enjoys. That will be a problem, but already what we are seeing, the EU, Vietnam, other countries are already working with the United States to work with us on fair trade deals. So again, we will have to wait and see what China does. If China doubles down, we don't know how long they will last. But one thing is for sure, we will last longer than China. We have stability in the military, in the economy, in innovation, and we have stability in our partners. Who are the partners China has? They went into Africa, tried to buy some partnership there. They have nothing. Their closest partner, Russia, is in the middle of a conflict and they're sanctioned by everyone too. Can I go to India? No. Can I go to Iran? No. China doesn't have anybody. So right now, we all really need to chill out and calm down, because at the end of the day, even if this does hurt us, and I don't necessarily like this argument because we shouldn't be hurting ourselves too much, on the grand scheme of things, yes, it is hurting us, but don't worry, boy, is it hurting China right now. Now, I have played this video before. This is Steve Grubber. In case you missed it, this is so crucial, and I think this really represents the Republican talking point as to what exactly is going on. We are seeing corrections. However, this is being framed as if the U.S. economy is totally collapsing.
Well, is it going to be Black Monday? Apparently it is. The stock market in Hong Kong down 13%. Markets here down dramatically as well. Global markets tanking. And they keep saying it's because of the tariffs. Now, is that true? One has to wonder. It seems to me that there's a correction going on that's been long overdue. And I said long before 2025 that we would have a recession in 2025, regardless of who got elected. Didn't matter. So my question to you is, do you still stand with Donald Trump? If you're a Trump voter, a Trump supporter, are you still with Donald Trump? I am. I'm gonna see where this goes. Look, we had to level the playing field. The playing field's been disrupted and out of whack, if you will, for a very long time. Is this going to be one tool to fix it all? No. This is going to be one measure out of many. 2025 is going to be a year of upheaval, but I believe that every time the market has gone down, every time we've had a market crash, 1987, 2009, you pick your recession, the really painful ones. We've always come back stronger, bigger, better. And maybe this time we're getting the table reset completely. You know, all this false hope and all this artificial enthusiasm because of money being pumped in by the government, that's gone now. That's gone. The COVID, the monopoly money from COVID, it's gone. I'm going to stand with Donald Trump. I voted for him.
Now, the ultimate question everyone has, well, is the inflation rate still going to go up? Is it going to go down? Are we going to hit a recession? Well, we have a bit of an issue here. So Donald Trump, as President Trump calls for rate cuts, citing oil prices are down, interest rates are down, food prices are down, there is no inflation. The Fed announces a closed board meeting happening now. So this is straight from the Board of Governors of Federal Reserve Systems. It is anticipated that a closed meeting of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve Systems at 11:30 a.m. Monday, April 7, 2025 will be held under procedures set forth in Section 261B7 of the board's rules regarding public observation of meetings at the board's offices at 20th Street and C Streets, Northwood, Washington, D.C. Okay. Now, is anybody else not sketched out by this, that these guys are having a closed meeting? I'm not trying to insinuate anything here, but that's currently what's going on. All of a sudden, we have a closed meeting as all of this is happening. So we'll see what happens. Will we hit a recession? Actually, nobody knows. Donald Trump doesn't know. And when Joe Biden was even asked that question, he even said, I don't know. There's no way to predict it. There just is not. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, this is the breaking news. God bless, and we'll see you all later.